Welcome to those in the sanctuary and those who are joining us by Zoom. Can you tell us who those are, Alan? If they're late, we'll know. Oh, I like that eternity right there. Okay, so we have Linda and Dottie and Sally. Yeah, I think that's who's there so far. So wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. And welcome. Welcome. So welcome all to the gathering at Northern Hills. My name is Ann McCracken, and I'm a longtime member of GNH. I want to thank everybody who makes this service run smoothly, from our coming in the door, Zooming the service, until the coffee and fellowship is over and the lights are turned off and the door closed. I'd also like to pause here and just take one moment to silently remember all the families who have been touched by gun violence in the past week. As you use navigating how we want to show up in our lives, we agree on our values, and we are each empowered to search for truth and meaning and actualize our shared values of love, interdependence, equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, and justice. We draw upon and are inspired by the sacred, the secular, and scientific understandings that help us make meaning and live our values. Today, as a part of our three-part series, through the generous sharing of Dr. Mark Mussman and poet Willa Jones, we are deepening our understanding of the experiences of people with precarious housing and how one might find their voice to foster change. Our topic today is tenant organizing to combat the problems contributing to homelessness. Alan, if you would please light the chalice.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
I'm also very excited this morning because I've seen some faces I haven't seen for a while, including Shanti and Ravi, who were with us for quite some time and now are back in Cincinnati. So that was wonderful to see them, and certainly Suzanne and Johannes, and that's wonderful. And we have some visitors that have come back to see us, and just a couple of faces here that are wonderful. And Sarah's here today, that's wonderful. Okay, one way in my experience, especially young adults are giving voice to truth is in an art form called spoken word. For those of you who watch the NewsHour, you know about the arts and culture section called Canvas. In 2014, in a segment, Amy Harris of the Center for Investigative Reporting and DeAndre Evans, Will Hatfield, and Dante Clark of Youth Speaks did a spoken word piece called This Is Home. on public housing in Richmond, California. Later in the service, we will hear Willa Jones, a poet and author, and Dr. Mark, who will help us understand giving voice to housing in the year 2024 in Cincinnati, in Ohio. But there are some things that are ubiquitous about homelessness and housing. So Alan is going to start a video, and I know it's going to be a little bit difficult for those who have trouble hearing, but I think the pictures will tell you what needs to be said if you have difficulty with the hearing.
This is where rodents and roaches are like family, cause we share the same meals. Top ramen, cereal, Kool-Aid. It's no family complaints. Everything's enjoyed that we refrigerate and put in cabinets. We feel 30 below air from cracked windows. No heat for when Richmond wind blows. No AC to cool down the weather that makes us sweat. Neglect the only thing we get. Fungus disintegrating the walls. Bathroom sink replaced bathtub. Only place where I can wash my body. Everybody come through the door except people who repair. Why are elevators broken in a place made for people who are disabled? How can we use stairs when we roll the wheels of our chairs and lean our bodies on canes and walkers? No one is responsive. Feel like I'm talking to myself when help is asked to restore something as simple as a lock on the gate so I can feel safe. Never get any phone calls returned. Don't get to talk to anything more than a machine. This is home. It's not built for us to survive.
I see barren hallways, broken cameras, uninvited guests. There's no service here. As if a sea of people were cast away on an island to fend for themselves, the weather outside is frightening. The absent guard's ghost remains in its rightful place. A world ran by village rules. We exist only to survive. Accustomed to the law of the land, mind your business. Pay no mind to that body that just fell from the top floor the other night. Silence has become an ally to fear. The fear of being evicted. Like a sickness, the madness of this reality soaks into a simple statement, better here than out there. I see Juanita, a double amputee bound to a chair, hand scarred not by surgery or disease, but by a room and a door that a wheelchair wasn't made for. Every day she pushes through. Every day she pushes on, cause this is home. Look at Mama Hall, 81 years young and still keeping a routine, weary eyes maintaining order with disorder, day in and day out. And if the proper authorities won't help, then they help themselves. Whether it be mice nesting in the walls, dope dealers in the halls, or prostitutes treating for a trick, these seniors take hold of what they can and fight for what they can't. Cause this is home. Where video cassettes are glued to the ceilings and the walls to keep the mice out. This is home. Where the people make their own. Ain't family, but they'll never be alone. Ain't nowhere else to go. And these old folks need a place, so they make space. And pray for tomorrow, cause tomorrow shows a new face.
Tomorrow, as dawn peaks and blue jays sing praise, I will awake with the gracious morning resting lightly on my eyelids, thankful. I can roll out of my plush covers feeling silk. Feet seep deep into warm carpets in my apartment on winter mornings around December's. Unthawed a frosted grip I have on misery and set me free. Believing without seeing has brought life to this carcass. Tomorrow, I will be treated more like a resident. Feel more relevant than just a pawn, you feel me? I bet not see no dirt but green in these lawns, huh? Don't wanna smell no cocaine linger or mildew clinging to my doorsteps, huh? Gotta protest, raid the government, shake their pockets and make them fix these projects, huh? Cause if not here, then where? Where do we go next, huh? Cause left is cemetery, barbed wire hearts, unchained metal gates like a welcome place for the terror part, open doors for the match and spark where everything dies slowly, on schedule. But until tomorrow, before my thoughts will manifest kingdom, and we feast in an abundance of wealth, we'll break bread, share what leftover scraps we have, and find communion in our struggle. And this is tomorrow.
Very powerful. It was fact-checked. It was fact-checked. Okay, we're going to have our opening hymn, and feel free to drop a stone in the water.
Stand and sing with me, guys. Our world is one world. What touches one affects us all. The seas that wash us round about, the clouds that cover us, the rains that fall. Our world is one world. The thoughts we think affect us all. The way we build our attitudes with love or hate we make, a bridge or wall. Our world is one world. Its ways of wealth affect us all. The way we spend, the way we share, who are the rich or poor, who stand or fall. Our world is one world, just like a ship that bears us all, where fear and greed make many holes, but where our hearts can hear a different call.
Stay standing for our unison affirmation, please. We pledge to create a welcoming community that celebrates human diversity, encourages spiritual growth, fosters responsiveness to our world, and commits to the future of all children. Thank you. And now for our message today, we have Dr. Mark Mussman, who is Director of Education at the Greater Cincinnati Homeless Coalition, and Ruth kindly gave us his introduction before. And we have Miss Willa Jones, who is a poet and an author. And Rose and I had the distinct pleasure and honor of hearing her at a concert that was done by the Street Choir and Fluidity at the Christ Church Cathedral, and she's wonderful. So we have a lot to look forward to.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Dr. Mark, the Director of Education at the Homeless Coalition. I've reflected a lot about our time last week, and I really appreciate having the chance to meet and talk with you all. I am going to turn the mic over to Willa, who will be using the mic. And I do want to let you all know that there is a place for all of us in the movement to secure safe and affordable housing for folks. And so there are some flyers on the back. So if you want to get involved in this, please check those out. They're on the table. And Willa's going to be sharing a little bit about herself. And I want you to kind of keep in mind some of the things that we talked about last week when we talked about stereotypes and causes and solutions to end homelessness. And there is also and I'll talk about it a little bit more next week when we talk more about affordable housing. But we are doing some public trainings coming up, that our summer school program, as well as a teach-in about the difference between Cincinnati's Affordable Housing Trust Fund and Cincinnati's Affordable Housing Leverage Fund, and that'll be on the 25th at Mount Auburn Presbyterian Church. But the reason that we're here today is to hear from Willa, and I'm gonna just go ahead and ask her to come up and make sure she uses the microphone somehow. I don't know if you have the hand one. I don't know, are they gonna be able to see you up here? Okay. Right. But make sure you use the microphone so people online can hear.
All right.
You also have a hand one.
Well,
This good. Thank you. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Willa, and in 10 days, I'll be 68 years old. God is good all the time. He brought me a very long way. Okay, I was homeless for 5 years. Me and my husband had been together for 20 years. They worked at a place called Jergens, where they make lotions and baby oils, stuff like that. It's called KO now. But we worked down there about 8 years. And one morning they called me, Miss Willa, come up on line 8, Durrell down, because I did quality control. And I was like, what's wrong with this man's line now? So I went running up there to see, and he was on the floor having a stroke. When I seen him, I fainted. When I come to, he was dead. My whole body shut down. I lost a house, 2 cars, and we had just put a swimming pool in the backyard. I lost everything. I quit talking to people. I was saying, why talk to you? You're gonna die and leave me. And I ended up losing the job. I lost everything. I ended up in the street. I didn't know nothing about being homeless. I ended up downtown in Washington Park, sleeping in the park by this big black cannon they got down there. I sleep next to it, stick all my stuff in there, run in and out the drop-in center to eat. So I was down there, and this lady seen me. I call her an angel in disguise, because she seen me and she said, well, I've been watching you. I'm gonna try to help you. I was like, what's she gonna do? So she took me down to the Anna Louise Inn homeless shelter for women. And when I got in there, they said, well, since you won't talk, Miss Willa, because I quit talking. They said, since you won't talk, Miss Willa, you need to write. So they gave me a great big notebook and some pens. I started writing. I was a poet and didn't know it. So I kept writing. They said, oh, you telling your story. So they sent all my poems to a place called Women Writing for a Change. And they came down there and they held this book up. They said, Miss Willa, these are all your poems about your life. And I seen my name down there. I started hollering and screaming. I ain't shut up since. So now I go around with Dr. Mark, talk to schools about homelessness. Okay, and I fight for people that they put people out of their homes for no reason because they want to build a parking lot. That's crazy. So I always keep this book because it was printed upside down. So I always got one. Okay, I'm gonna read y'all a couple of these. As soon as I figure out which way the book go. Okay, this is the first poem I ever wrote. It's called Believe It. It's called Believe It because a lot of people don't believe it that certain things happen that make a person go homeless. Believe it. Believe it when you see someone bundled up sleeping in the street. Believe it when you see someone looking in the garbage for food to eat. Believe it because all these things are real. None are made up. Believe it there are many men, women, and children who are just down on their luck. Believe it with the economy, all twisted and headed straight to hell. Believe it there are many who just give up, commit suicide, or take leave for a jail cell. Believe it to the homeless, jail with 3 hot meals, cell buddies for friends and a cot. Believe to some it means nothing, but to the homeless means one hell of a lot. Believe with faith, all things are possible, all including for you and me. Believe in God, have faith and pray, then change will come. All you have to do is believe. So I remember when it was real cold outside and I didn't have no place to go, I would just go out there, stand in the middle of the street like this, and make the police take me to jail. Because that way I get out the cold and have food and stuff. So they did it a couple of times, took me to jail and let me out the next morning. Then one day I was standing out there and they said, Excuse me. Miss Willa, ain't nobody on you today. Get your little booty on the sidewalk. Ain't nobody doing all that paperwork on you. I said, oh, y'all acting funny. So I went to the store and got me a bottle of beer. And then I was standing in the middle of the street like this. They said, oh, you done messed up, now you going to jail. I said, y'all get out the car, let me drive. I drive fast, it's cold. So I got down there and they charged me this time. They charged me with opening flash and impeding traffic. So this time I got a case and I go to court. And the judge gave me 10 days. I said, oh, thank you, Your Honor, thank you. That means 10 days I don't have to be outside. Thank you, Your Honor, thank you. So I'm all up there eating cookies, and listening to music, twerking, singing and everything. And so the next morning, they called me again. Willa Jones, come on down, you going to court. I said, whatever it is, I didn't do it. Because I went to court yesterday. So I went down there and it was the same judge. And she said, Miss Willa, I looked you up with the Anne Louise Inn. And they told me about your book. I didn't even know the book was on Amazon. She said, and they told me it was on Amazon, so I pulled it up. And I read some of it. So I don't feel like this is a place for you. So I'm gonna suspend your sentence. I said, when did they start throwing people out of jail? This is crazy. I said, I just want you to know I've been put out of better places than this. So I walked her out of there. But she put me out. I was crying, ooh. I'm the only person crying because I'm going home. I didn't have a home, but getting out of jail. So I got out and I walked around the corner and I seen this guy. He was standing out there selling the street vibe papers. And I asked him, I said, how you get that job? He said, well, if you go around there to the coalition, they'll give you 10 free papers to get you started. So I went around there, I had all my papers where I wrote all the poems and stuff. And I went around there, so they gave me 10 free papers. I do not know what I'm doing. So I'm out there like this, street vibe for you today. Street vibe for you today. I'm all scared. And I didn't do nothing too much. And then the editor that was down there, her name was Jenny Wright. She said, can I read some of your stuff? I said, yeah, so I let her read some of my poems. And the next week, she put my poetry into the paper. Here I go, I see my name. That's all I had to do was see my name. Street vibe for you today, just read page 13, just read page 13. So everybody got to know who I was. And then I started ordering books, and people bought the books and everything. So God was good. Okay, this one is called, excuse me, Intoxication. Okay, I got one over there, but just thank you. It's called Intoxication. Intoxication is being drunk, if only for a little while. Intoxication can be a bad habit with a crooked smile. Being high and drunk all alone really makes no sense. Being homeless, a panhandler, and a drunk can be a very bad defense. The fear of not knowing what your next move can possibly be can be intoxicating without a drink, please believe me. The fear of failure constantly, day in and day out, can be an eye-opener to a drunk to make a change, no doubt. Once you realize there's another way to live every day, to work, maintain your money, and eventually find a place to stay, things start to fall in order for you, surely but slowly, as you start to make a change in your life ever so boldly. Intoxicating thoughts will no longer be able to hold you back. Understand that with the help of God, you get your life back on track. So don't stay intoxicated by the fears of the world today. Go to church, read your Bible, get on your knees and pray. and I do. People be walking around with their earplugs in their ears, and they be talking on the phone. I be walking down the street talking about, what a friend we have in Jesus. They can't say nothing to me because I got an earplug, even though you can't see it, it's in there. I'm talking to somebody, doing like everybody else. Okay, I got a couple more, then I'm gonna leave y'all alone. Okay, I learned this. You think you got friends, and then when you homeless, you got a friend as long as you got something to give them. You ain't got nothing to give them, you got to get out. So I wrote this one. It's called A Friend. To be called a friend is sometimes very hard to be. To be a friend is an honor with many responsibilities. To have a friend is someone you can depend on. To have a friend with you when all hope is gone. Being human beings, we all fall short of God's grace. Being human plus a friend can be a very difficult race. Due to difficult circumstances in every person's life, to put trust and faith in someone can only bring strife. So for me, I keep the faith and never get to pray as I sing it over him. What a friend we have in Jesus each and every day. So, the Ann Louise Inn, excuse me, they helped me find an apartment. First place I had in over 5 years. So I moved in and hung up the first curtain. It was like the first thing I ever seen in my life. When I cooked, it was the first time I ever done that. So I had been there, and then they gave me a spot on the friendly market to sell my papers and stuff, you know. And so I was right around the corner from the market. And so every day when I come out, I noticed that these people was putting people out of their homes, out of their apartments, with nowhere to go. And I was like, why are they doing this? You know, why are they messing with people? You know what I'm saying? So one morning I woke up and I had a note up under my door. They're gonna try to give us 30 days to get out. I said, oh, they got the right one now. So I went down there and got with Josh Springs, the president of the coalition. I said, I'm not getting ready to go back and be homeless again. I just got out of being homeless for 5 years. I'm not on it. And he said, I got you, I got you. So he got a lawyer, and the lawyer, we backed them people up for 2 years. They were so mad. I said, why y'all mad at me? Y'all the one messing up. I ain't doing nothing. I'm trying to save the community. Y'all trying to destroy it. And so we backed them up, backed them up. So they said, we can't get Willa to shut up. We're going to have to do something. So what they did was they decided to give everybody a place, find everybody a place to stay and pay us to move. I said, oh, y'all gonna pay us? I'm gonna shut up. So I shut up and they moved us out. So I moved around the corner. And I didn't think we was gonna be able to come back. Then 2 years later, they called me one morning, Miss Wooler, we want you to come down here and cut the ribbon. I said, oh, y'all letting us move back? They said, yeah, you won that, little woman. You won that fight. So I got down there, I ran around there to cut the ribbon. And they had the ribbon, I said, well, I can't cut that, I'm way down here. So I gave it to the CEO, and he cut it. We was all on TV. And the apartments are really nice, they're big now. You know, they're really big, everything is remodeled, and it's just different. Cause I be sitting there watching TV, playing on the computer, and I said, well, let me get up and fix me something to eat. And I looked for the kitchen way up. I said, ooh, next commercial. It's just, it's just too far away. And if I drop something on the floor, I immediately pick it up because I ain't trying to sweep and mop and stuff. It's just too much. It's just too much. I'm telling you. So anyway, we came up with a tenant organization. You know, keep them from doing this to people. And so we started it, and then a lot of people was in for it, so we ended up saving a few buildings. Couldn't save them all, but we saved a few, so God was with us. I got 2 more poems, and I'm gonna leave y'all alone. Okay, let me see. This one, Michael Jackson wrote the song. I wrote the poem, Mine's is better. You and I must make a pact to be mindful of how we act toward each other no matter what, and not hold hatred down in our gut. We must understand that everyone is unique and know that a change is what everyone seeks. With time and patience, with help from up above, we can conquer the hatred we feel and replace it with God's love. Only with God's guidance and so many blessings will we understand living life together without ever guessing. We finally know what it is to live on this planet together, to love each other for who we are, not what we are, but now and forever. Marvin Gaye wrote the song, You Know Mine's is Better. What's going on? What's going on, asked singer Marvin Gaye. What's going on in our world of today? Stealing from each other, killing one another, lying, cheating, and still calling each other brother. Disillusion about what our lives should really be. Misunderstanding that we're all born in sin, you and me. Forgetting each day to let live and let love. Forgetting to give all praises due to God up above. Everyone needs to take time out to pray. Ask God to forgive our sins each and every day. Replace hate with peace and love wherever we can. Only then can we see what's going on all over the land. So for me, this is what's really going on. We as a people must come together before all our lives are gone. Thank y'all so much for listening. Thank you. I hear you. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna start us now with our congregational talkback. As you use, we covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We value pluralism. We value differences. Our congregational talkback gives us the opportunity to hear one another and to grow. And so let's ask our questions and let's see what we can learn from one another. Okay, you raise your hand. Tim has the microphone. Okay, there's Ruth. And then we'll look online and see, make sure the people on Zoom are.
I just wanted to tell Ms. Willa, thank you so much for being here. Your poetry is just beautifully written, and I don't know, even though this is the second time I've heard some of it, it just seemed more meaningful this time. And you just hit the nail on the head on so many things. Of course, I guess experience would naturally lead you there, but it was just very inspiring, and I'm glad you shared with us. And I wanted to ask Dr. Mark, is there an ongoing tenant organization that the coalition is fostering?
So we're working with several different tenant organizations. So it kind of depends on what's going on at the time. So recently, if you know about Williamsburg, which is over here, we were working with them and brought the city in. We have tenant organizations in Avondale, Walnut Hills, over the Rhine. So just different places throughout we're also working on a wider tenant organization, and also what used to be called the Homeless Congress, but it's not person first language, so we're looking at something else. And so they're actually gonna meet for the first time this week after a pretty long hiatus. So folks who are experiencing homelessness, folks who are in housing that's threatened, And anyone can be a part of it, people with lived experience. So that's going to be kind of a wider organizational effort as well. So.
I heard that I thought the last, during the Williamsburg thing, there was some discussion that the city council was going to do something about out-of-state landlords, some of these big real estate developer companies that are buying up land and pretty much just letting it go to rot. And, you know, and I just wondered if the council ever really did anything about that.
Yeah, not the council, the city manager's office and the mayor have been honing in on problem landlords. And so they have actually been taking action more than, I think, in the last 15 years before that. But there is, at the state level, they're looking at doing something regarding that in terms of institutional investors that aren't, you know, providing quality housing. But city council right now is very amenable towards investors. So not city council, no.
I'll let you go first. I'll end it.
I used to live in Williamsburg, and it was a fantastic place. And I wondered, is there any way to check on people who buy places like this so that you don't get landlords that just let places go and just buy it for the investment and not try to keep it up?
So the way that it would work is that folks who are experiencing problems, whether that be mold or things that aren't being fixed or rodents or, you know, vermin, all that kind of stuff, they ideally would be able to talk to the landlords. If the landlord doesn't do anything about it, then you would kind of escalate that with the health department. If it's a buildings things, you could get in the building inspections, things like that. But you know, you could also go the route of escrow, so putting your money in an escrow account, getting some legal representation. But in terms of like the city or someone doing that, we live in a complaint-driven society. So unless the complaints are happening, then it wouldn't be any cause of action. So that's why we form tenant organizations, because generally if someone's having that problem, other people are having that problem. And just like in labor law, if it's one person saying something, you can get squashed pretty easily. But if you have two or more people that are organizing together, there are some additional protections offered to people.
You said that they could put their money in escrow and get legal counsel, but is there any way they can get legal counsel that's affordable?
So the Hamilton County is offering, they have a legal kind of, it's not counsel, but they'll give you like suggestions. But legal aid would be the one that would be affordable. So they could contact legal aid. And legal aid also has a really good like self-help website too, to give people an idea of like what to expect.
I was going to save this for joys and sorrows, but that wouldn't let you respond. I was looking at the internet and I noticed that, I don't know if it's Hamilton County or city, I don't remember that, but they said evictions are up 107% over, I forget the period, but that's a big number.
Yeah, I mean, the fact remains is if the courts could do more evictions, the numbers would be higher. So it's limited by the number of evictions that can be processed. And if you have gone down to eviction court, it could be a 90-second or less process. So they can only do, I want to say 75, don't quote me, but 75 a day. The courts can only handle that capacity.
So is there motivation to get more rent from the next rentor? I mean, why evict somebody? They haven't paid, I guess, or something.
Yeah, so we tried to get what's called pay to stay, which meant that if you were getting evicted for not paying your rent, that paying would be a defense in court. But unfortunately, Hamilton County courts are kind of fighting back against that. It's legal in the state of Ohio for your landlord just to rip up your check and evict you for not paying. So it's really, there's larger issues in terms of rental protections in the state of Ohio. We had a company come in, an international hedge fund called Vision and Beyond, and they came in, and the person who came here, he literally said the reason that they came to Ohio is because it's an eviction-friendly state. And they bought up, I think, over 1,200 units in 2020 and 2021, and just started kicking people out. We organized some of the tenants on Court Street downtown. Some of the folks had lived there for decades, and they just simply said, well, you know, it's below market, so you got to go. And that is part of this larger strategy to get white generational wealth into the city of Cincinnati, and the city council is for that because they want to increase our earnings tax, because that's the way that most of the money comes into the city is through the earnings tax. So they want to, you know, there's 2.2 million people in the Cincinnati regional area, and, you know, 300,000 in the city of Cincinnati. So they just want to encourage that generational wealth to come into the city for those earnings taxes to go up. So the council is not going to say, you know, turning low-income affordable housing into market housing is a bad thing.
Are we past all the COVID effects? Remember, people were being evicted then because they lost their job, I guess, or whatever.
Right.
As I remember.
So that the evictions never stopped. They stopped for maybe like a month and a half, maybe in March and April of 2020, but then they continued right then. And that process didn't. You know, if you had to prove that you kind of like that you lost your job because of COVID and that's why you weren't paying, and then you had to have like a mediation between the landlord, and the landlord had to agree to that kind of mediation before like the funds would become available. So the officially like the end of February, I want to say the end of March, like the COVID money for rental assistance is gone. Yeah. So, but it's totally legal for someone to raise someone's rent so they can't afford it and have them move out. That's totally legal.
Anybody online?
Does anybody on Zoom have a question?
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Wow, it's nice to be tall, I think, right? To have a place where we can collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically, we share our resources to ensure that such a place may exist. A place like this where we can hear Willa and Mark and people like that and join together. So this is the time when we do the offering and we make that happen so that we do have a place.
It ain't easy making money these days. It ain't easy keeping friends that stick around. Cheap smile like a lemonade stand. I ain't selling a drop. Loose change in the palm of my hands, trying to come out on top. Aren't we all in the same boat? Taking on water, yeah, we're all in the same boat. Tired of trying to survive. Tired of fighting for my life. I'm just like anybody, anywhere, navigating complicated times. But I'm trying to survive. Straight face and I do what I can. Yeah, I keep it on lock. But on the Tired of fighting for my life. I'm just like anybody, anywhere, navigating complicated times. But I'm trying to survive. It ain't easy making money these days. It ain't easy keeping friends that stick around. It ain't easy, it ain't easy, but I'm trying to survive. I'm just fighting for my life. I'm just like anybody, anywhere, looking for a purpose here, navigating complicated times. I'm just like anybody, trying to survive. Tired of fighting for my life. I'm just like anybody, anywhere, navigating complicated times. But I'm trying to survive. We're all trying to survive. It ain't easy. It ain't easy.
Thank you very much, Michael. Now it's time for sharing our joys and sorrows with the community. And Tim has the microphone, so please raise your hand for joys and sorrows.
Hi. For those who don't know me, I'm Suzanne Bjorner, and I'm usually on the other side of the Zoom screen because we're spending time in Mexico. And so what I'm saying what I say about every quarter here, which is I'm really glad to be back and here today. And one of the real pleasures is that I don't see very well, but I see people that are new here, new to me, because I'm not always able to see them on the Zoom screen. So I'm thrilled to see so many new people coming in. I have one small announcement, and that is that one small confession. I forgot to bring in my canned fruit and peanut butter, but I'll probably make it over to Valley Interfaith sometime this week anyway. I did bring in a bunch of books to donate to the library that we have here. And no, these are not books that I'm cleaning out of my house yet. These are books that have been given to us by St. John's, our sister Unitarian Universalist Church in Clifton, through Debbie Coombs and through my sister Nancy Henry, and then through me. So if you haven't looked in the library recently, there are some very good books in there. And some of the newer people might not realize that you can just take a book and bring it back when you feel like it. So thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. All right.
Just wanted to share the joy that we are back in Cincinnati. And although we'll be traveling to Philadelphia in August, we'll be going there to vacate our place and come back here. And we are glad to be back in the town and coming to join you all.
Welcome back, for sure. Okay, thank you. All right. For all the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken, I'll drop a stone in the bowl. Okay. Now we're going to have our closing hymn, which is the Fire of Commitment. Please stand if you're willing and able, or sit if that's what you'd like to do.
Yeah, stand and sing if you want, guys.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets a mind and soul ablaze, when a hunger and a passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then a promise finds fulfillment and a future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when a hunger and a passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then a promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when a hunger and a passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, when a promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, our closing words for today. In the center of Dublin, near the former site of the Imperial Hotel, you will see a statue of Big Jim Larkin, commissioned by the workers of Dublin. A quotation that dates back to the French Revolution is inscribed in English, Irish, and French on the pedestal that supports the large statue of a man in a tweed suit jacket, at least I imagine it to be tweed, that swings open as he thrusts his hands over his head. The words spoke to me in the center of Dublin, and they have never stopped speaking. I share them with you to hold in your hearts, to inspire your hands to act. The great appear great because we are on our knees. Therefore, let us rise. Namaste.